The FTC, Federal Trade Commission, they have filed an administrative complaint against HomeAdvisor. All right, so I'm going to be walking through essentially what's going on, kind of breaking down the ins and outs of it, but also most importantly, what this means to you moving forward, especially if you're somebody that uses HomeAdvisor, Angie's List, any of those third-party sources. Let me just kind of break down what's going on first off. So FTC filed that administrative complaint against HomeAdvisor over allegations that the company misrepresented the quality and the source of project leads to businesses, as well as the odds that those leads would result in actual jobs. All right, so if you've ever used HomeAdvisor or Angie or any of those other companies before, you know that there's a lot of manipulation and misleading happening. I don't think that's new to anybody listening to this podcast. You know, we could talk about what they're doing and things like that. But again, like I think most of you guys, especially if you listen to this podcast, you probably don't use them. Or if you do use them, you use them sparingly, or at least hopefully that's the case. So what that administrative complaint means is that this is essentially the FTC's way of initiating a formal proceeding that's kind of like a federal court trial. But before like any of that happens, like this is when like evidence is submitted, testimony happens, witnesses are examined, things like that. Then from there, that is when, you know, like if they find out that there has been like violations of the law, that's when cease and desist happen, things like that. So this is like the early stages of all that stuff, but that is what is happening right now with HomeAdvisor. They're now under Angie, so I'm not quite sure if they're going after the entire company. I'd imagine they are at some point, because if they're not already, because they're all kind of connected. But I mean, like even HomeAdvisor, before they were HomeAdvisor, they were Service Magic, I believe. And then they got in some trouble and they flipped over to HomeAdvisor, and now they flipped over to Angie. But long story short, it is just not a great company to be associated with. Not just because of what they're doing, but the fact that you have an active complaint against one of these companies that is like driving around in a car that has a ton of safety recalls happening. It's only a matter of time until something big happens here with HomeAdvisor. So what should we be doing instead? So now that we know that this is on the horizon, the FTC is actually taking action here after seeing all these different complaints and scams and things like that, both from contractors, but also from consumers. What does that mean for you? So what that means is you should realistically be building your own brand. All right. And what I mean by that is all the things that you're doing for your company should be ones that you're building on your own platform, right? There is a certain extent of, when you build up stuff on social media, Facebook, Instagram, things like that, like Facebook could go down. All right. And then all your stuff goes away. But if you're diversified, then that's not that big of a deal. But the issue with HomeAdvisor is most contractors build their entire business on HomeAdvisor or on Angie's List or on Yelp or wherever it is. They put all their eggs in that one basket. So if we are stuck with all our eggs in that one basket, then we're kind of at the whims of whatever happens with that basket. And as we're starting to see now, it is some shaky stuff going on. I mean, that is why we're very, very, very big on websites over here, because websites that's you. Unless the internet goes down, you're going to have that website. So we need to make sure that we are actually building our own house instead of having our house built elsewhere. When you're getting, like right now on HomeAdvisor, when you get reviews on HomeAdvisor, they go on your HomeAdvisor account, like on your profile, which is great if you use HomeAdvisor a lot. But as soon as you stop paying, or as soon as if this stuff goes through, all those reviews are now gone. But if I had to put up, stacked against each other, Google versus HomeAdvisor, I'm going to choose Google all day of the week. And when you get reviews on Google, and if they're the big dog on campus, well, now you're actually building up your reviews, your online branding in the eyes of Google, which has been the big dog on campus for, 18 years now, something like that. So we want to build our foundation on things that we know to be proven, and not trying to go out there and build it on things that have FTC warnings against them. On top of that, the reason why most people use HomeAdvisor is it's easy, right? It's straightforward to use. All you got to do is set up a profile, but that's the plus side to it. It's also the downside to it. And because it's so easy, everybody does it. It is way harder to build your own brand candidly, right? If you could step in and just generate a ton of leads just like that from HomeAdvisor, everybody would do it. And if that was the case where you actually got, let's say you pay money for leads, like I hear people that complain, well, oh, it's, to get good quality leads and get good quality work, it cost me, I can't believe it cost me $50 to get that. And I'm like, $50 to make $20,000? Like, something is wrong in your head that you feel that that is appropriate, that you can complain that, you shouldn't have to invest in marketing to generate the high quality leads. They're just going to come to you, and it doesn't work like that. But if we're building it on shaky things that both consumers, the homeowners, and contractors hate with what's going on with HomeAdvisor, now you're at the whims of whatever happens with HomeAdvisor. So my biggest piece of advice to you is to separate from it ASAP. All right, so if we're talking about how do we build a brand, how do we actually get people that want to work with us for us, not because they had to put their information into HomeAdvisor, we have what we call over here at CGN the compounding clients framework. Long story short, what that means is that when you generate a lead, right, or you do work for somebody, you should be able to get at least 2 more projects off of that project. All right. And the reason for that is when you're in a neighborhood that you want to be in, there's a very, very, very good chance that other people in that neighborhood also want in or need your service as well. But the issue is that they don't know that you're there. Or maybe they know that they're there, but the timing isn't perfect. Maybe they want to get their kitchen remodeled next year, not this year. But because we don't do a good enough job of letting them know, hey, we're in your neighborhood doing this project for them, then when next year comes around, they don't think to use you. They go right back to Google. All right. That is what we're trying to avoid. So how do we build the brand? That is that framework. So the way that that works is a few different things. One, when you're in the neighborhood, you want everybody to know that you are there. And that is where yard signs and door hangers are going to come in. Utilize those to attract the right people in the neighborhood back to saying, hey, look, I am at 123 Main Street over here doing this project. All right, now they know that you exist. The second piece is post on Facebook daily, right? We coach on that. That's what Wealth Builder is all about. But this stuff works. I'm telling you, the Facebook post, that will bring the right people in, because now that you're attracting them using not only Facebook, but also the door hangers and yard signs, they're going to want to see what you're doing on a daily basis. Your Facebook page is going to build that transparency for them. And the last piece of all this is going to be reviews. Get those reviews from clients over to Google, over to Facebook, but mostly Google, because that is going to, again, build up that brand trust and that brand awareness, and Google loves to see that. So between those 3 things, those are just like the high level of like what we do in the compounding client framework. But long story short, you should always be able to get more work out of one project by simply A, letting them know that you're there, B, showing transparency into what you do and how you do it on a daily basis, and then C, back all that up with great reviews, and that will be step 1 to building that brand. All right, so let me end this with something to kind of steer you in the right direction. So when you started your company, your contracting company, you're probably unbelievably good at problem solving. Whether you give yourself credit or not, you are a problem solver at heart. Otherwise, you would not have started this business. Now, the problem that you probably like to solve is the one in the field. But in reality, as a natural born problem solver, you are not somebody that's just good in the field. You also are able to solve problems outside of it. So when it comes to solving the problem of do you have a brand or not, you actually have all the ability to do it. You may not believe it right now because it's all brand new, and anything before we do it that is brand new, we feel stupid doing it. That is part of the learning process. But I promise you, if you have started this business on your own, you have all the ability to make this thing happen. All you have to do is you have to invest in yourself. I hear a lot of people that they would much rather take $10,000 and put it into crypto or put it into the stock market or whatever else. And even, like the S&P 500 averages depending on what source you look at, anywhere from 9 to 11% in interest per year that you're going to, gain from it, right? But let's say you take $10,000 and you put it in the stock market. Well, next year at that same 10%, you're going to have $11,000. But if you took $10,000 and put it in your business, if you don't make at least $50,000 from that, I would be shocked. All right. So stop investing in outside things that you can't control and go all in on your business. That is the number one thing that I can say, and it's within your control. You just have to try it and have to believe in yourself. But most people start the business and then they operate out of fear, which to me makes no sense, because you have the ability, you have the control, you have what you need to do to make it happen, especially if you want it to happen. but don't start your business and then just sit back and play on the, sit on the sidelines. Get in the field, be in the arena, and just recognize that once you put yourself in that position, you have the ability and the resiliency to get through it. Everybody that I talk to that says, oh, I'm down and out, I dealt with this, everybody bounces back because humans as a whole are resilient, and you are no different. You will always see this thing through. You will make it work, but build your brand. It's not going to be instantaneous. It's not going to be overnight, and you're not going to get instant gratification out of it. However, you will start to see the micro movements that are going to slowly lift you up, and over time, it is going to pay off tenfold. And you're going to be so glad that you went all in on yourself versus taking the easy way out, which is build it on some shaky foundation, such as HomeAdvisor. Go out, do it, and believe in yourself.